Lore Olympus, the modern reimagining of the Greek myth Hades and Persephone. Surpassing 1 billion views on Webtoon, one of the first webcomic series to reach the #1 New York Times bestseller, is finally coming back after a 3-month hiatus. Maybe some of you die-hard fans remember every scene from the first season, but if you're like me, you might find this video helpful. A recap of Season 1 of the Lore Olympus. We start our story at the Panathenaea, a giant party with Greek gods and heroes, where we meet our two main characters, the god of the dead and king of the underworld, Hades, and the goddess of spring, Persephone. While Hades has been around the block for a few thousand years, Persephone is a younger goddess and new to Olympus, living a sheltered life due to her mother Demeter being the biggest helicopter parents, well, ever. Anywho, at this party, Persephone catches the eye of our lovely king of the dead. So much so that Hades believes her to be more beautiful than Aphrodite, you know, the goddess of beauty? Anyways, after Aphrodite, in the pettiest act of vengeance, decides to call her son to get Persephone drunk and lock her in Hades' car, trying to show the worst side of each of them to each other. But this has an opposite effect, only starting a budding relationship between Hades and Persephone. But unsurprisingly, the god who spends most of his time in the underworld where nothing's supposed to grow, and the goddess of spring have difficulty spending time together. Not to mention they live completely different lives. Hades spending most of his time running the underworld, the realm and the business side to things. In his free time, which is rare, he has an ungodly amount of dogs. From the gatekeeper Cerberus to the smallest little dog I've ever seen drawn. And he also spends quite a bit of time on his on-again, off-again dumpster fire relationship with Minthi, an abusive river nymph. Meanwhile, Persephone has almost the opposite life. A sheltered upbringing, never being able to experience the real world, focusing on studies and scholarship, especially to Togam, the goddesses of eternal maidenhood. Goddesses who agree to stay pure for eternity. But while it's not her cup of tea, she's given the chance to live alongside Artemis, another member of Togam, meeting a bunch of people she never would have met before, like Eros, the god of love, and Apollo, the god of the sun, who commits an unforgivable crime against Persephone. This moment shapes Persephone's life for the rest of the series, a weight that she constantly carries around. She feels like a piece of her life is a lie, like she's lying to everyone to cover this up. She's broken after this and doesn't want anyone to know. After a late night phone call with Hades, Hera notices Hades' infatuation, giving them a test, assigning Persephone to work with Hades in the underworld, but also sneaking a peek at the current turmoil Persephone is going through. While in the underworld, Persephone makes some enemies. Minthi, the river nymph that sometimes in a horrible relationship with Hades, is incredibly jealous of their relationship, often going out of her way to actively sabotage Persephone, like sending her to Tower 4, a storage of problematic shades, or just trying to make her jealous. Eventually starting her job at Underworld Core against Hades' wishes because of a game of chess. After spending more and more time with each other, their feelings become more and more apparent. Hades tries to push it away and make his relationship with Minthi work, which it doesn't. And Persephone admitting to Eros and Artemis that she's developing feelings for Hades, to Artemis' dismay. She connects with Eros, who helps her start to understand her pains. This is also when Hades and Minthi's relationship start to break down, as Minthi constantly treats Hades like garbage, ditching him to drink with her toxic friend Theseus, cheating on him with Thanatos, and just abusing Hades, both mentally and physically at points. Hades, finally realizing this, decides to put a stop to their relationship once and for all. But as some doors close, other doors open, as Hera finally sees that Hades is serious about Persephone. Not to mention Persephone also starting to take a stand, in a sense. Getting closer with Hades, unfortunately things get worse for Persephone. Now an outcast in school because the journalist who wrote a tabloid saying that she and Hades slept together had his eye gently ripped out by Hades. After Persephone insists that Hades put the eye back, Hades finally has the talk with Minthi, ending their toxic relationship. But the toxicity doesn't end, as Minty's toxic posse, Theseus and Thanatos, sneak behind the backs of actual gods to gather dirt on Persephone, or her original name, Kore. After a very grabby encounter with souls at the beach, and a very romance movie kiss in the rain, followed by Persephone turning into a butterfly, and later a touching reunion, we learn the truth about what happened years back. Not only has Persephone and Hades met before, only for Hades' penchant for alcohol to make him forget, but more importantly, how Kore got the name Persephone, or the bringer of death. After a fight with her mother, humans started to desecrate sacred land, uprooting flowers and killing flower nymphs. And as Persephone's powers got the best of her, she killed many mortals. And as our toxic trio snitches to Zeus, we end the first season with Persephone on the run from the law and everyone else. Where Persephone runs to, how Hades reacts to Persephone's past, and more, all in Season 2, which is coming back later this month. But that's all for today. So like always, thank you for watching, and take care.